What's the big idea?
We are rolling. Ready or not.
The title doesn't matter.
The title doesn't matter.
It's all about the content.
It doesn't matter. Welcome to episode 59 of VOLLEYBALLOGY Uncensored. We thank you for joining us. Of course, if you are listening, it's always helpful if you can subscribe. Give us some, if you enjoy our conversations, that's one way you can let us know. Because we notice that the listening or the views on like social media or different outlets don't add up to our subscribers. So if you can like subscribe, that'd be great.
100% would be great.
Yeah.
I'm sad. We're leaving the fiddies. You're not going to say that anymore.
Yeah, we're slow
until another
150.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're very happy. We're like coming up on 1,000 subscribers. Should we have something special if we hit 1,000 subscribers?
I think so.
What should we do? Like give out cake through the internet?
Ooh, cake.
Internet cake.
Yeah, like in those cards with the cake in
or
it.
like cyber cake. Like just you can goggle.
Google.
Google goggle.
Isn't it Google?
Cake through goggle. Oculus. Anyway, we're coming up on 1,000 subscribers. So if you know what? Why don't we do this? How about this? Whoever is our 1,000th subscriber gets $1 million. Just kidding.
Imagine. No one does it. They're
Everybody's
all
trying
just,
to time it. $9.99. So
Like radio station.
The beauty of that is that we can just lie to them. No, you were actually 1,001. No, you were actually $9.99. Somebody like right at the same time. And we gave them the $1 million. It was actually Eric who was our 1,000th subscriber. It was really weird.
I don't think I've subscribed yet. Actually, I probably should.
Yeah, that would be nice too.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm subscribed. I'm sure I am.
Imagine.
Anyway, I'm pretty sure I've created about 800 accounts. That's just,
yeah.
Anyway, this topic today is one that came up online quite a bit this week. Like that's what we like to do. We like to pluck from the headlines of volleyball. Mm-hmm. And this one we came up with the title of coaching versus yelling, because I think sometimes coaches, we can fall into, I know as a young coach I did, you fall into the trap of yelling things courtside during games, maybe even in practice, because you're frustrated, but you have to ask yourself, are you really being a good coach when you're yelling, or are you replicating maybe the coaching that you experienced growing up, and are you really helping the player perform better, I guess, versus yelling? Because there's a time and place to be loud as a coach, for sure, for certain personality types.
Yeah.
But is it a detriment to the players, or can it be? And what's the difference between the two? A lot of people don't, like I said, they don't. They just replicate how they were coached, and they think that that's what coaching is. So,
do you think there's more yelling the younger the athlete, and then the older the athlete gets, the less loud, generally speaking, the coaches are? The ones who prefer to be loud?
Yeah, I think that...
because obviously at professional level...
But see, I think the reason why there's less yelling at the professional level is because there's more people who understand
exactly
about winning mentalities. Yes. Yeah. I don't think, though, in club, for instance, in the club world, or even in the college or university world, that I still think there's, especially I think the college world, like community college and stuff like that, I think there's more yelling there.
Yeah.
Because the level of success is, like, the harder the level it is to get to the coaching success, I think the better the coaching gets. And it's kind of across the board, like you sort of said, like the higher level coach, they almost never yell in an abrasive sort of correcting way. Their yelling might be cheerleading, not punishment based, And
I think those athletes that are at that higher level are much more thankful to be there and want to be there and are really working hard to be there. So the intensity is there. And I think the yelling, the loud voice, part of it in younger volleyball ages is to try and drive up intensity, I think, on the court.
Yes, sometimes. I mean, I think it's such a weird. That's what you hope it's for.
That's what I hope it's for.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one I'm thinking of that is excusable in a way. And I'm not talking like,
Right.
yeah, like just loud voice, like really like, come on, let's go. Like I can see how that is. Many coaches would utilize
Sorry,
that.
can you do that again? The pump up. What was that?
No.
Come on, let's go.
I can't see if
You don't want to
I'm
scream
good at
it in the microphone, yeah.
Yeah, I really don't want to. That wouldn't.
Let's go.
I would not say
Isn't it
like
funny
that.
how that's how you fake yell? Like in a microphone, you just, come on, let's go. Like it's weird. It's like we're raising the octave.
Yeah.
But we don't.
You just
Sorry,
distance
I
the
threw
mic.
you off there. Yeah, you were like, that's the pump up.
Yeah, that exactly. I'm starting from the point of trying to understand why they would do it or where it is like where it does make sense and kind of going from there. And I think like at younger age groups, well, even then, like it's not crucial to be doing it because I think a lot of the time myself coaching now, it's just a lot of like encouragement. Like it's not like I'll be loud, but in like a really kind of like happy.
Yeah, because you're in a gymnasium and there's noise, so you're gonna be loud, like yelling across the gym to instructions in a positive way.
And like what you say matters, and like your tone and like the expression on your face and all this stuff, right? Like if I'm like, I don't know, I can't even do like an angry face, but like
doing for
for
the people listening on. In case you are listening, people might not know that you can watch these episodes on YouTube. You don't have to just listen to us. You can actually get the full experience. It's like 4D. It's 4D.
Yeah, if you can get the headset and you can sit right here.
Yeah, you can sit with us.
Yeah,
you can get us. Actually, we have a hologram, volleyballogy, hologramology,
Gramology.
yes. So the encouragement yelling is different.
Well, I think I'm breaking the chunk off out of yelling, which is just loud.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you cross from that back into yelling, and then in yelling, we're getting to a whole bunch of bad things like why are you yelling at kids, like what are you trying to do here? And yeah, so one thing was correcting.
Yeah,
that's most of where this comes up, but I'm sure there's coaches who just yell just in general as to like saying like let's go. I just did it again, but like no. In a wrong tone and like
well, I mean, I think that's okay if you're yelling let's go or like, come on, or celebrating with your team. I think people like that. That's a cool thing. It's a positive yell. But when you're yelling as you're correcting, I think that you're crossing into losing the message of what you're saying, and you're moving into intimidation. And then the player, it's a fact, like when brains get intimidated, they actually shut down. Like this is psychological stuff. Like if someone's screaming at you instructions, you're so distracted by the screaming that you're actually might not even be taking in the instruction. So we know that calm equals communication. And I always say too, when like, even my younger self, like there were times I remember like one time where I was like, it was actually your team. You probably don't remember, but I remember we were at a tournament once, a club tournament. Eric has a horrible memory.
Yeah.
Or he just blocked out the whole experience.
Yeah, because you're yelling.
Me coaching him. Yeah, maybe. And I remember one time, like our team was not passing. I was like, I must have been 24, 23. So still playing a lot. So I was like in that mode of my ego was wrapped up in how the team did.
That is so long ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I was literally half my life ago. I've lived a whole other 24-year-old life since then.
Wow. What was the better half?
Definitely the first 20. No, just kidding. No, the past 24 have been like gold. Hard gold. But anyway, so I remember like
a bronze gold,
our
team, I think, like a dark bronze gold.
Stop it.
Sorry. Okay.
If you're interrupting, stop it. So I remember our team was just getting aced like nonstop, and nobody was moving their feet. So I just sort of
I remember situations like this.
I just sort of like come on, let's like, what are you guys doing? But I almost like I screamed like in anger on the sideline because the team's failure was wrapped like my ego was, I wanted people to know that I'm not this bad and my team isn't again, it was insecurity rather than hey guys, time out, quiet discussion, like, hey guys, do you want to be here? Are you into this? We traveled a long way. Like
it's funny because
I would have resonated more than I guess one advantage was I wasn't a screamer coach, so there was those times where because I did that, it did stand out to people. To the player. The players would be like, "Oh man, he's never like this."
Yeah.
Because I don't think I was I was never a screamer coach. I was more of a sit down, do it all in practice stuff.
Right. Don't you think then that message was delivered it did its job?
It can be timely.
If you're not someone who does that,
right?
Because I don't think I like complain to I wouldn't have faulted you for that at whatever age I was.
Yeah.
And I don't think many of the parents would have at that age either. I don't know.
Right. Some parents, they get bothered, like they get more frustrated seeing their kids not performing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even about winning. It's about, we traveled, we got a hotel.
Yeah,
and you're not even, into this yet, or maybe you were out goofing around last night, right?
My mom used to give me that, like same when I was playing volleyball or hockey, like at post game, she's like, "What are you doing? You're just like coasting. Like, what are you doing?" Right. And yeah, for sure, as the parent, it kind of makes sense because you're putting in so much of your time, money, like sacrificing, and like, so you here to? Do you want to be here? So
yeah.
I kind of
I think that's what I was feeling at the time. I do remember that. It's funny that moment stands out to me quite a bit all the time. Is the one time
you're 24, you want to be out at the clubs dancing, and you weren't last night, so
or playing. That was the big thing for me. I was
yeah.
like probably missing a tournament of my own to be there.
Right.
So I was like, I don't put up all these hours just so you guys can like not perform or not get. And it's about effort, right? So, but I do remember it as a time where I felt a little bit like embarrassed about the level of anger on the court. And I think again it goes back to that ego thing, but there's also
of the players or you
my anger, because like there's also the time and effort you're putting in, I think, and you're away from your at that time girlfriend and friends or your own time, and you're putting in something here, so there's a bit of that.
You were 24, holy moly.
Yeah, must have been. Yeah, so but still, I do wonder about, can you deliver a message? I guess it depends. We've talked about this before too. Like if the message is energy, like if the team is lacking energy, sometimes there's a time to be a little loud and pump up, I think, and like, hey, what's going on? Or anger even. But if the message is technical, then I don't like it.
Yeah. Same.
Like I don't know why. I can't even imagine a scenario where I would yell technical advice.
Yeah. You can't.
Well, but that's what coaches do. That's where people run into problems where they're like, "That's your ball," or "Move your feet," like you're not, or they're just like, "Get it," or pass up. Like they're not giving the technical.
Move your feet one. My goodness.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. It's just
I know it's obvious.
Or like pass up. Well, yeah. What?
I always think it's funny if like you may as well just stand there and yell, "Play better." That's what I do as a joke, right? With players, I'm like, "Come on, guys, play better." It's the same as like pass up. Yeah, we know. Come on, guys, get it to 2.5. Yeah, we know. But I think the problem is where we get into the chronic yeller. There are coaches who, it's, I guess to me, when I remember talking with Dustin Reed about his team and how he's so composed on the sideline. And Dustin Reed is a big-time coach, former national team player in Canada, and head coach of the formerly known Ryerson Rams, now TMU. And he said to me, like, he referenced a coach that we both knew, and he said, like, that's just what I learned from her, is that, all your work is done in practice. All your teaching is done in practice, and the games are diagnostic. And so you're just sitting there and you're just making notes, being calm, maybe a, timeout to discuss some reminders. But I love the idea when he said that your coaching is done come game time. And if you're not, and I always thought this too, like when you see a coach on the sideline screaming instructions, to me, I just think lack of prep.
Yeah.
I just think that coach probably runs their drills very controlled in practice, and they don't leave a lot of room for the unpredictability of real volleyball. Maybe they're not scrimmaging enough. Maybe they're not letting the players do enough of the unpredictable stuff.
Yeah.
So that these issues aren't popping up in practice. Because game time is diagnostic, right? Game time is like, let's see what we have here.
Let's see how our strategy is doing.
Yeah. And when a coach is teaching during the game or screaming, whatever,
it
ends up being screaming because it's a loud gym and you're yelling at the players. You're kind of frantic and unprepared, to me, is what it looks like.
Kind of pulls the athlete out of the game a little bit too, because it disrupts any type of flow state that you're hoping that they can fall into.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like game, coach, game, and then you're just like bouncing back and forth. I recall, like, experiences like that. But two things I want to say, like the one time when you did, like you weren't a yelling type person. I can see that there's a sacrifice to behavior like that. Yeah, it may have worked. Like for sure the players got your attention. There's probably another way to do it, just as you said, the timeout and hey, like what are we doing here? But for someone who wasn't a yelling type of coach, same message was delivered. However, like it came at a sacrifice to you. You didn't feel good afterwards doing it, right?
Yes.
But so it still worked. It probably wasn't the best way, but I can see that like it worked, right? And then the other thing, it's in the case of like Dustin Reed, the great thing of that is that the players are now, it's on them. They have to teach themselves to bring intensity. So, and I really like that because they're not going to be. And I remember that the older I got, my games were I finally broke away from looking at the coach, right? And then. Yeah, like in the later years I definitely wasn't looking at the coach because like I had no reason to, right? So like it was like all just
Are you saying your coach was unattractive physically? No, I know you felt like the coach wasn't delivering.
Yeah, it literally
knowledge.
It doesn't matter. Like it this is true what you're saying. It's done. The prep is done in practice. And when you're in the game, you have 2 timeouts, you have some substitutes. Other than that, the ref is going to keep telling the other team or to you to serve the ball, and you just got to figure it out.
Yep.
And then that you can allow yourself to like start to pick up on things in the game that the other team is doing, or that's happening within your own teammates. Maybe you have to like try and help them out of it, because if you keep getting disrupted by that, you're not going to pick up on all those little things. And then learn how to like bring up the intensity for. I think we talked about this on like another show. Each player kind of has their own way of getting energy into them or like letting their energy out, right? So kind of trying to see that's like I played with a few guys who were like super quiet. They would get a kill and like make like no whatever, and like that's just the way they were, right? So you want to find a way to like bring energy up, but you don't want to go too high, right? And then you don't want to go like too low as well. So,
well, and you don't want to project your preferred energy level. That's the mistake I think a lot of coaches might fall into, is they like a lot of non-playing coaches, I find, people haven't played, they don't understand the value of a quiet player or stoic player. That's like, small s stoic. Like they just like, I've literally heard of coaches like not picking players because they're too quiet, and I'm like, are they effective though? Like, because that same player who's not getting rah probably won't get flustered after a number of mistakes either. There's that that connection between like, I don't get too high, I don't get too low. So I don't like that. One thing, like just picking up on what you were talking about, I think that one cool thing, if you think about it as a metaphor, is like parenting, almost like when you're a coach, right? So like, practice is like when the kid is at home with you and you're teaching them about life and things like that. And then the game is kind of like when they go off to a party or somewhere else in life, and they kind of have to use the lessons that you taught them at home in the real world. You're not at the party screaming at them, put that down, put down the punch, it's got alcohol in it. Like you're actually, you got to let the kid, live based on what you taught them at home. And if you think about it, if you're talking about athletes as life, sport as a metaphor for life, it's kind of cool because that's where the games are where they get to apply what you've taught them. And then you get to diagnose sort of quietly on the sideline, make some notes, discussions during timeouts, encouragement, sure. But you get to discuss and assess how well your home practices are working. You know what I'm saying?
I do. I see, because this is exactly the awkwardness that these coaches don't like. It's it's one thing to do practice and scrims or whatever in practice, and it goes decently well. But always, especially the younger they are, you go into a game and that all falls apart, and it is really awkward, and like they're just trying to feel it out. And I think it's that uncomfortableness the coach takes on and they can't bear
personally. They take it personally.
I can absolutely see that. It's kind of like,
and it's kind of interesting because you almost want to let it progress unfettered, so that way you can see just how bad it is. Like by you interfering, right, you might make things worse, you might make things better artificially or hold them up artificially. It's really good to have a team that by the end of the season, I think if coaches are listening, like imagine having a team that saw these games and you told them like, these are assessments of how well our practices are going. And then that way, imagine if players treated them as diagnostics. Like, and that way their mindset would be maybe more aggressive, maybe more loose. in a game versus like I think we have it backwards where we teach it like the game is everything, and be nervous here because you're wearing uniforms and there's whistles.
Yeah.
Versus like this is the hard lesson time in practice, and now let's go see what we have today, guys. You know what I mean? And that would be just a different shift in mindset in tournaments, and I think it would make people looser. And then you might not need to worry about those because the fear is what makes players like. It's funny because like my example, my players might have been a little timid and low on energy because the problem was they were elevating game significance too much in their heads.
Yeah.
So they were probably nervous.
How can you not be nervous? Because you're right. The uniforms, the whistles, the whatever, like the bunch of parents sitting around, a bunch of people you don't know.
I think it wouldn't take much though to tell a team like, guys, if you did start with that mindset of like,
I think
the hard work is in practice, we're gonna do all these things, and then the games are just for us to see how our stuff worked. That's it, and then watch the result. I think those players would probably perform much better than players who walk into a stadium all nervous looking around. If you constantly reminded them, guys, why are we here? Girls, why are we here? We're here to assess the work we've put in. The work's already done. Again, this is a good coach who's like planned and prepped and not screaming on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Frantically teaching last minute. Like, that's what I always think is funny when a coach is like sitting there shouting out like instruction, like, you need to do this. And like, you'll see them demoing things on the sideline. I'm like, why weren't you doing this? And, like, I can tell you this. So like my daughter's team in their final year of club, like we were sitting there the week going into like the championships for the season, and they were doing like they were doing like mindless drills that you do at the beginning of like a warm-up stuff as drills. And I'm like, this team, I was just thinking to myself, like, this team can't pass. Like, I would be spending all the week
another team or your
our own team had struggles passing. I'm just like, I don't know why they're just not doing serve receive all practice, like just setting goals and drills and like variations of passing. And then sure enough, they go to the championships and the coach is just screaming instructions and screaming at them in anger when they're getting aced. And I'm like, so you spent all the week working on the wrong thing because you were just not connecting. It's so weird, like how few coaches. Like, I see so many coaches who don't diagnose the team's biggest problems.
Well, you kind of revealed it, right? If they're always interfering, they're not actually going to pause and see the full picture of the greatest weakness of the team. Or, well, I mean, most coaches would know that serve and pass is probably the most fundamental anyways. But
it's remarkable how many coaches don't spend their practice serving, passing, serving and passing, and passing. If you want a good team, just do that all year and mix it up.
Please don't do that all year. Please mix it up.
But what I mean,
PTSD.
No, but what I mean is like, but do it in an interesting way.
Yeah,
right? Like serving and passing could be playing 2-on-2.
Yeah.
Right. Serving and passing could be kings and queens, and
that'd be nice.
Yeah. Well,
just not butterfly.
No, and run out the whole play. Right. Let the kids have that thing, make it a game all the time. Like, how good your team will be just by reps, and then you correct, right? Then you see when the server's over here, when the server's over there, who should take that seam, who should take this seam, stuff like that.
It'd be sweet to as a varsity coach if you could have 2 courts and just set up a whole bunch of, like you said, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, let them play a whole bunch. Like, why
with
not?
Rewards built in, and systems
and it's
and
so
rules.
Fun.
Rules, right? Like rules, so you have to like mentally think, like something about attack lines or like. Left sides can only tell. Like, you can add these cool little things into drills that get kids mobile and playing. But sorry, did I cut you off there?
I was saying you were saying the coach who did like one drill like the tournament before championships something else irrelevant when they should have been doing serve and pass. Like they definitely were not tuned in.
And then screaming at them at the tournament because they're not moving.
Yeah,
not doing.
A lot of girls cried that year. His own daughter didn't.
Oh, sorry, this is a different club.
Oh,
different
nice.
club. Yeah, final year of club. Yeah, no, it was the next. It's the same thing, different uniform.
Yeah.
I just found that it's one thing that they all have in common, though. I think that. I mean, if you are like, one thing that weak coaches have in common is that they're screamers, like screaming at the team. Like one thing, like the frustration. Anger.
What do you mean we have in common? What?
One thing that bad coaches have in common. Is that not we like you and me, but one thing that all bad coaches have in common is they scream a lot.
Yeah, you're right. That is like across the board.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is an interesting point.
Because you're noticing about your unqualified coaches too in your life, right?
Yeah.
because it's a crutch. So like my theory on that is that the reason why they scream is because they're so desperate to look like the coach on the sideline that they're hiding their own insecurities and lack of knowledge through screaming at the players, and toughness and punishments. That's the other thing. Like, it's tying in with our previous episode.
It really proves your authority theory, which is now true.
Yes.
This has just been proven true.
It is true. I mean, like, a lot of people go into any positions that are, they're looking for authority. So they go into coaching is an easy one, right? Because youth sports, it's like wide open. There's no test, there's no degree, there's no diploma, there's no training. Yeah, you just walk in because they're short. They need a coach. So if you're an insecure person looking for power and authority, youth sports, man. Nice.
That's where I'm going.
Just walk in. Well, you never went there, right? Yeah. Like, and now you're doing it through our organization, but it's a different world. But so a lot of those screamers that are punishing, physical punishments, screaming on the sidelines, those people are replicating those coaches of bygone eras that they think about in football and other sports. And, and back then, those coaches were probably knowledgeable and they were trying to get at something. And it was a different era. But today, to do it when you're not even teaching, like, see, that's the thing. You're not even teaching the right techniques and you're jumping straight to punishments, and you can't tell me what I'm doing wrong. You're not qualified. Yeah. You're not qualified. So, so make sure if you're going to be a coach that's going to be one of those coaches, then you better have drilled home the message and the instruction, because then what are you punishing, right? You haven't even told them what to do. Like, it's one thing, like, I've told you a million times, I've come out here and demoed it for you. You're just not paying attention. Now to go do, like, what player wouldn't pay attention? It doesn't make sense. You only punish and move to physical punishments when you can't correct. You have nothing to say. So the screaming... Yeah,
because at that point, if they're not actually listening, it's for reasons of focus or whatever.
But what player and athlete doesn't want to get the pass right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Why that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, because if you're really filling a practice, I mean, I'm going to fix the problem. Yeah. But if I don't know how to fix the problem, then I got to fill practice. I got to fill practice with something else. Yeah. Lines, touch lines. Yeah. You guys are just not serving well. Well, show me what's wrong with my serve. Yeah. I can't. So you're going to run. Like, shouldn't that, like, seriously, if you have a bad day passing, shouldn't your whole next practice be spent talking about technical things to improve passing, or
you would think
what your team is doing wrong rather than physical punishments? But these coaches hide behind screaming punishment, because that's the persona. They want to still be intimidating, right? They want to still get the respect. So they go to that. And I'm not saying that great coaches don't lose it. Of course, great coaches can lose it. They can get frustrated because they're competitive individuals who are former athletes, maybe, who are frustrated because they can't go out there and do it themselves. So they're like, why can't you just do this? That can happen, right? But as you get older, I mean, like we said, Karch Karai is the model, I think, right? Best volleyball player ever, now becoming a coach of high-level players. And he must have tremendous... Hugh McCutcheon, great player, right? National team coach who
we've done something like this to get them to that far. But I doubt it would ever happen. But
yeah, well, it is common for great players to not be great coaches. We've seen that. Yeah, right? Like in basketball, that was the case where Magic Johnson. We talked about that on an earlier episode where Magic Johnson went into coaching NBA basketball and it didn't end well because he just
Wayne Gretzky did as well.
Wayne Gretzky did hockey, and that didn't work out very well, did it?
It was, I think it was like mediocre.
Yeah.
It wasn't great.
I think it was more of a, in his case, it was like a weird remember the ownership issue?
Yeah.
Like he was part owner of the team and they owed him some money. So I think when he went in to help his own team, like Phoenix Coyotes, right? Patrick Waugh is a hockey goalie who became a great coach. And people,
did he really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He had great, like his junior team was winning like the
No way.
Yeah, his junior team did very well. And then I think he did he get to the NHL? I think he did. But something
goaltender becoming a head coach.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But he was kind of cerebral. Like he was a real thinker as a player. So, but he was a hothead too. So as a coach. Yeah. So I don't know why. Something happened that he wasn't able. We got to look that up. But something happened because he was having a lot of success as a coach. But it's very rare for great players to be great coaches. I think what you have to be is you have to be a player, I think, at some level to be a great volleyball coach. You have to have been at least, I think, a varsity level player, unless you are super open to learning. Like there have been some good coaches who've come along who were they surrounded themselves with good people, right? And they became good coaches. But that's rare because
at that point you're kind of like a coordinator. You're like hiring or delegating work to certain. You're building a team around you to handle the technical.
You might have something like an assistant who's a middle, an assistant who's an outside, assistant who's a setter, and then you learn from them. Yeah, and then you become the expert. Like in time, you're like, no,
you can learn the strategy.
Yeah. But it's really tough, right? Like it's super rare, I think, to not have played at some level in volleyball, especially because if you haven't seen how fast the game gets, then I think that you are that type of person who will scream at players, "Come on, pass up!" When if you never faced a spin serve or a float serve, right? Like on the surface, you might think, "Well, float serve should be an easier pass than a spin serve," but players know that a float serve's really tough to pass versus a spin. Like sometimes you're dying for a spin serve, right, from the server. Like you're, oh, good, they're spinning, because you're like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? I've had that thought where I'm like,
for sure. But I think that coach who can kind of offshore that work, that's at the higher level, because the lower you go, the more technical, the more beginner, the more the technique is yet to be formed, right? So you're really spending most of your time in that area. That's a lot of like these clinics we're running is it's mostly, and it's awesome because I have to sit here and I have to like kind of break it down in my head and try to figure out what's going on.
And even in your case, like, yeah, exactly. That's what made me a stronger coach. Like coaching the youngest players is really cool because it makes you slow down and say, okay, what do I do here that's successful? What do I do that isn't successful? And you're like, oh, okay. And then when you're going back to playing, you're like, oh, remember to get my leg outside or to get, move my feet here, or like, don't go on the ground, don't dive too early, move my feet, and little tips that like coaching makes you a better player for sure. Like I got better at playing after I started coaching. But
so that's why you got into it, for selfish reasons.
I got into it for selfish reasons. No, I didn't know that. I actually didn't know that it would make me a better player until I started.
Because the internet wasn't around at that time.
The internet wasn't around. There were no TV was not around.
Jeez.
Yeah,
TV was
yeah. The sun was brand new. Even the sun. We had lived in darkness for many moons.
And then, so we were all naked, probably, right?
Well,
because there wouldn't be need for clothes.
Why?
Unless it was cold.
It was cold, yeah. Without the sun, it was very cold. In pre-sun days, whew,
I don't know.
Very cold.
Playing volleyball in those gyms, no lights.
This is not historically accurate. Mommy, what was it like before the sun? No, but what was it? Oh, so one thing I wanted to say too in this episode is that I think there's something, when in any walk of life, because there's a debate, right? There's a lot of coaches who are listening to this. I mean, millions of people listening to this. And whenever you get millions of people listening to such an important...
In 100 years, maybe.
Yeah, maybe not even then. The sun will be gone. Anyway, no, but there's a lot of people who will say, like, no, I like yelling on the sidelines. I'm a loud person. They often try to say that they're cheering on the sidelines, but they don't understand that they're not cheering.
Yeah, I like this. Try to defend them, because I want to see. Like,
well, what I want to say though to them, that before, like, to shoot them all down, is what scenario in the world, in what scenario in the universe, is a person who's screaming or yelling ever in control and gonna perform well? Who's
the character in Guide to the Galaxy, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
That's so weird that you're mentioning this.
Why?
I just watched a movie last night with that Sam Rockwell guy in it who's playing the president of the universe. Yeah. Right? That's what you're talking about, right? That's so weird.
What I'm talking about, who's the guy, the hitchhiker himself? I forget his name.
Martin Freeman, in the character?
The character.
Oh, I forget his name.
He has like a human name. But he's like, freaking out because all sorts of crazy stuff is happening, and he's definitely not in control. Well, I guess that proves your point, because he is yelling and he's not in control.
He's not in control.
And it just kind of goes along, and then they just end up all over the place. It's a great movie, great book too.
Yeah, great book. Yeah,
but
but that is it. He's frantic, and he thinks he's in control.
Yeah,
thinks he's not.
He's not,
and that's why he's losing it. And everybody just says, "Calm down." And the name of the book is right.
It says, "Don't panic."
Don't panic. If you don't know what we're talking about, this Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, great movie. If you just want to start there, but there is a book. Yeah. It's legendary, and one of the cool things about that, it's a philosophical movie and book, and the idea is that there's so many things in the universe that you have no control over. So just don't panic. It's useless to panic, actually. And the problems that you think are massive are actually nothing in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. But so I always think I just think that coaches that are screaming, it shows that how I felt when I was 24, 20. Yeah, I must have been 24. It shows a lack of control. You're out of control. That's why I don't like it. That's why that memory sticks with me, because in my memory, and remember we had Shane Christopher on talking about recruitment.
Yeah. And
he said he had a similar experience. Remember, where he felt out of control, and he sort of, that season, he was having a rough season.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, and he apologized basically to his players on our recruitment episode.
Well, because there's no one there is going to reprimand you. Right? If you're the kid at home and you're having a temper tantrum, your parents will correct you.
Sometimes.
Well, maybe that's part of what this is linked to.
Or they'll give you candy
for yelling.
Are you kidding me? You know how parenting works now? Most parents are like, okay, you can have the sweater since you told me to F off. Okay, or I don't want you to hate me, so I'll give you the candy and the ice cream, because that's sadly what parents are doing now. Not all parents, but bad parents. And the parents listening know what I'm talking about. That. Yeah, parents reward bad behavior all the time. Because they want to be their kid's friend, or they don't want their kid to be, they're throwing a tantrum. I find that giving the kid the iPad calms them down. Well, guess what you're teaching that kid?
Yeah.
Scream more, scream louder. That kid's going to be a volleyball coach. Kid's going to be a volleyball coach when he grows up.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Jeez, man. Because it's like anything goes. That's a terrifying connection.
Well, that's sort of,
yeah, because in those gyms, no, you don't ever see a parent. You probably do in the rare occasions when it gets bad enough, someone stands up and be like, "What are you doing?"
As a coach.
Yeah, or the ref will have to step in and kick them out. That I've seen more than the other one. Well, it's usually the ref that interjects, and maybe that's what it is. It's all the parents are waiting for the ref to actually step in and do something.
Yeah, we had a coach whose wife knew to bring $100 because there was going to be a fine. Yeah, so they just go get the money.
That is terrifying.
Yeah, they brought bills because they knew,
because their therapy is at kids tournaments. They let it all out, and
they're self-loathing. Everything's wrapped up. But that's what I mean. So you're an out of control individual. You're not communicating. Again, if you're in a workplace, you couldn't do this. If you were a parent in public, you couldn't do this. Couldn't just start screaming like this.
If we're talking to them right now, we should probably be a little nicer, because it's...
Well, they've already turned it off.
Yeah.
We're preaching to the choir right now, I think. But if we were to try to address the coach.
Yeah.
So hey, out of control, crazy coach. That's not a good way. That's not a good way to...
Yeah, it's not a good way to start it.
Hey, good coach, trapped in a bad coach's body. No, just kidding. Hey, good-looking coach. If you want the best out of your players, and you want your players to respect you, and you want everybody watching to respect you, then try to be the calm coach who communicates clearly what you want from them. Now, the problem is you probably don't know what to say to these players. That's why you're screaming, because you're frustrated, because you want them to play better, but you don't know how to give them the tools to play better. So go to YouTube. Listen to our episode.
Yeah, I knew you were going to do it.
No, but it's true. It's true. No, not just us. You go watch some videos from High Level Coaching, Art of Coaching Volleyball videos, right? Those are pretty good videos. And then you can actually give your players real practical advice rather than anger, because they will play worse if you're angry. You just hold a yawn in there?
No. I'm trying not to do it. I don't know why.
Part of your nostril exercises?
Yeah. I was just thinking this leads into another topic that we're going to talk about soon, of like when players get worse.
Right. Yes.
And that's one of the big reasons why. That's probably the main reason why, is aggression and yelling, and the players lose interest. They're not going to try harder anymore. They don't even know why they're still playing the sport, yet they keep showing up because they want to be involved with sports. Well, that's another thing we mention nowadays. The intent or reason for even being involved on team sports is different nowadays.
Yep.
It's to have the thing on their Instagram, or to just, I don't know, take snaps and be like, yeah, I'm out of my tournament. And do you really want to be there? Is that what it's for? Is it for that attention, or is it you really want to be there to play the game? Right?
Yeah, need to feel like you're a part of something, which I guess sports has always had that, but today it's like different level.
It's definitely always had that, but at least you weren't bound by it. You could, I think, freely leave it. A lot of players, athletes did. If it wasn't comfortable for them, they would just go find another sport, right?
Yeah, or like if they weren't into it, they wouldn't do it for people sticking with it for the wrong reasons now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that like, so can you be a good coach and a yeller? I guess is that a good question? Like, can there be, and I don't mean cheering, yelling. I mean, can you teach instruction? I don't think it's so weird, because if you
can't be a great coach. You can probably, if they have a lot of other good things going on, they could be a good coach.
I'm just trying to picture someone, like if I'm teaching someone to forearm pass, right? Like someone who's struggling with it, I can't see a scenario where I'm screaming it at them.
Yeah,
like it's,
how much yelling is, like 10% yelling, 25, 50%?
Well, I just don't think
only in games or in practices.
I just keep going back to, if you have something to teach someone, right?
Yeah,
you would never scream it at them. It's like
you sure?
I don't know. I can't see. Well, see. So here's the thing: you can only scream at someone who knows something. Like, we're talking about youth volleyball here,
yeah,
right?
I know.
So like, you can only scream, like, who's the guy? Gordon Ramsay, the chef, right? Like, he screams at people who are supposedly chefs or high level chefs who are sucking. He doesn't go to children, and he would never teach children that way. And I think that's the other thing too. Like,
we should find out what his rugby life was like.
Yeah, exactly. I like how you switched to rugby instead of football.
Yeah.
No, but there are high-level coaches that do scream at players in those sports, right? Like in football, it's pretty standard for a football coach to scream at some players. Even at the NFL level, you'll see it, right? Like on the sidelines, special teams coaches and stuff. And maybe even in soccer. Well, what's weird in soccer? Like, I don't know. Do you watch that Beckham documentary? Did I tell you about that?
You did. I haven't watched it yet.
Okay, it's so cool because, like, they talk about, like, at his level, like, just a coach benching him when he was all like a superstar, and just like the coach a little jealous of the fandom he was getting after he married Paul Spice, and like a weird thing where like this new coach comes in and he decides he's going to bench David Beckham, and it's like, it's every level of these, and it was a coach, by the way, that he idolized as a player when he was a kid. So this guy came in, and then he just like, he became the national, and even Beckham, I remember this, like when Beckham wasn't playing, and when they were talking about not bringing him on the English team, or near the end of his career even, I'm like, you wouldn't want to have him on the bench, like as even like coming off the bench as an experienced guy who can, if nothing else, score off a free kick. But there's so much weirdness in coaching all the way up, ego and competition, and but there are screamers at that level sometimes. But you are dealing with fully formed adults. Yeah, right? That's the thing. And
I think that's where some of these coaches are also getting it from. They see it and they think it's justified, seeing it on Sportsnet.
Yes.
The football coach is doing it.
Or a hockey coach, right?
Yeah. But
NBA coaches do it. It's high-level college coaches.
It's different in that sport because, I mean, hockey, like, it's kind of, really hard to hear.
Yeah.
Because it's like you got...
super loud.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? I mean, the screamer coach who sometimes goes to the end of the bench and starts screaming at a player, you still see it. It's starting to disappear. The Mike Babcocks are gone now.
But in a game where there's, like, hard contact, for someone's safety, you really need them to be like, you need to do this or you're going to get hurt type thing, right? Or you're going to let someone else get hurt.
And it's such a fast, chippy sport. Same with football, too, right? Like, there's a lot of danger on the line if someone isn't doing their job.
Well, yeah.
You know, like your quarterback's going to get murdered.
Yeah.
Or like someone cutting over the middle. Anyway. But yeah, there's a safety issue.
I think that's the main thing is because of the contact.
And because there's
and they're pro athletes.
I think the big thing is they're adults and like they've been taught it and now they're not doing it.
My hockey coaches yelled a lot.
Yeah.
Like 14, 15.
And you're not making millions of dollars.
Yeah. And
that's the other difference, right? These guys are making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And there's an expectation of performance. And there's a million people waiting for that one spot, by the way, right? Like, whereas in kids sports, like take it back to the Gordon Ramsay example. Gordon Ramsay would scream at an adult chef training to be a chef, but he won't scream at a 14-year-old kid making stuff, maybe as a joke in a skit, but not in real life.
Right.
Because the expectation.
But there's a camera there as well.
There's a camera there, but yes, that's good too. Yeah, it's good TV, good entertainment. Yeah.
I always
and
wondered,
same with pro sports too, right? Like I think people like you know, like me, like I'll be honest with you. I was worried about the audience when I lost it. I'm oh, people are seeing me not doing anything. There's a little bit of that.
The pressure to then yell.
The pressure to yell and like he's just sitting there.
Something.
Only later in my life when I was coaching did I learn to just sit there. And the parents will criticize you for that too, right? The calm coach, they'll say he's not doing anything, but they don't know that you're calling a timeout and saying exactly what they need to hear. Versus, because the loser mindset, like, let's be honest with you, right? There's more losers in the world than winners, way more, right? Like, there's a thin sliver of winners at the top. So whenever you do the calm right thing, most people are going to think you're doing the wrong thing, but they don't know what leads to success because they're the overreactionary masses, right? So,
how long was your retreat in Nepal?
I'm still there in my mind.
Oh.
I'm not even here right now. I'm floating on a cloud.
He's not even sitting in a chair.
You mean like in terms of the Zen approach I bring?
Yeah.
But I don't though. I still lose it. Everybody does. Like, I think the idea is that the speed with which you come back to reality is all you can do, right? You're still going to freak out over things. You're still going to freak out in your mind over things. Everybody will. Because that's the torture for people on the other side of things who are like, I'll never react to anything. It's the same people who can't meditate, right? Because they just get too frustrated with they
inevitably do freak out.
Yeah, because they're trying to resist what will naturally happen.
Yeah, but, I mean, if we look at Kung Fu Panda, right?
Yeah, really good movie.
Yeah, I love those movies.
Really great message.
Number 3. Yeah,
it's so good.
All 3 of them.
They're so deep.
Yeah, but like Sifu never. Actually,
Shifu, not seafood.
Oh yeah, I didn't say seafood. I said seafood.
It sounded very close to seafood, but I know you said Sifu. But it's Master Shifu.
That's right. Actually, he does. Poe does make him freak out just by being Poe.
Yes, he does, and then he tries to bring her back.
Yeah. He's like,
Dustin Hoffman.
Is that who?
Yeah, Master Shifu is Dustin Hoffman. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, okay. Well, there I answered my own. I was going to say that Shifu doesn't freak out, but I was like, no, he definitely does freak out.
He does. And that's the mistake that people make with things like stoicism today. They think that it means that someone
Uguay's pretty chill.
Uguay.
He's the most chill.
Yeah. Uguay is who?
He's in number 3. He's like the tortoise.
Oh, yes.
He's already deceased, but he's in the spirit realm.
Yes. Yeah. He's in every one of them, isn't he, then?
Yeah, maybe.
Because he's the first one, the dragon scroll and all that stuff.
He could just be like Cheech or like Tommy Chong.
Yes. Yeah, I believe it is, isn't it?
No, it's not. No. It's not.
I forget who it is.
It's not a like actor's name that was very well known to me.
Okay. But yeah, those are good movies in terms of philosophy. Even like the idea there's no secret ingredient, like that whole it's kind of timely because everybody's looking for that secret formula online, like is it ice bath, sauna and all this stuff versus like
there is no movies, the Kung Fu Panda movies.
Yeah,
been so
it's
good.
just you it's like spoiler alert, but anyway, just go look up, go watch and see what happens with the dragon scroll when they finally get it in Kung Fu Panda. But no, I just think that I forget I was going to say something there, but yeah, the idea of that, like even a coach, right, to bring us back to coaching, like if you are someone who is a reactionary person, that's fine. You can react, you can get upset, but can you catch it before it comes out? Can you I do like to see, I love seeing is the coach, and I think I've started doing this, like when players make mistakes that you've worked on or you've talked about or you just talked about it in a huddle, and then they go and they look over at you and you're just like laughing. They're laughing, and it's like, I know,
I love that.
I know.
Yeah.
And then that's a cool moment because we're both knowing that you just messed up about what we just talked about.
And that shows that you're working on it technically.
Yes, and it also
Right?
shows that you're bringing perspective, right?
Yeah, it doesn't.
The player doesn't
You're
need
gonna
to
make
be
mistakes.
terrified of it. They
Yeah.
can laugh about it. It's the same thing. The player knows they messed up. It's the same message.
It's so funny because right now, like while I'm coaching, we're working on serving or something. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on, and we'll sit there and we'll talk for a few minutes, and then I'll be okay. Now go and serve the ball, and then they look all serious. I'm like, no, just don't worry about because you're gonna make mistakes. Like we just sat here and talked for a while, and now you're gonna process all of it, and I can look at your face, and you're expecting that you think I expect you to serve it over the net now.
Yeah, yes.
Just relax, just hit some reps, like whatever, like. It's not going to work out perfectly, and then a few times it will. So just like relax, because there's so many mistakes, and I same thing. I love that too, and that's the main goal that I'm going after, is that I'm just trying to give them all the little angles of what's going on, especially the more complex the move. The serve is pretty complex. Spike is the most. That we can just educate them enough that they're like, when the mistake does happen, they look at you like, oh. The toss was too far. The toss was over here.
Yes.
I'm like, yes, that's all I want, because now you can troubleshoot. And then if you can teach them to troubleshoot, I think you can actually teach them to develop, to advance their game as well, because troubleshooting is a form of creativity to me in a way, right? You're seeing different angles of things. And then if you're seeing how the way something is built, then you can kind of build something new as well, right? And that's why
foundational stuff.
Yeah. And I think that's where once a player gets more creative, they really start to enjoy the game more. They start to relax more. They start to get into that, fall into that flow state, right?
Well, it's funny too, because that's one of the things that I sort of used to develop as a coach too, is we'd go over instruction, and then when a player does something, I would say, so do you know what you did wrong there? Do you know why it didn't work? And then they're like, I threw it too far behind me, I threw it too far in front, or I went too early or something, or I didn't get my feet behind the ball or whatever. And the cool thing is, that's actually the way that you should discipline your kids too. And that's the way, like, this is sort of, I remember when I was teaching, this came out, and I was like, oh, interesting. They're actually bringing this stuff to teach, rather than yelling at a kid for making a mistake. They were like, you should ask them questions. And some teachers are stupid with it, and they're like, what did you feel? And they don't know any of that. They don't know. What they're really getting at is like, the idea behind discipline is you want to make a person reflect on what they did or didn't do well, because that's the only thing that leads to improvement. And it's sort of taken from, I think, from sports models. And because, when you ask a kid in life, like, why did you do that? Like, that's too general of a question. Like, I don't know, right? They always say, I don't know why I stole that thing, or, when really what you want to get at is like, you start to talk to them about the person who owns stuff if they steal, and would you like it if someone stole something from you? Like, what if you worked really hard to get something and someone just took it? Those sorts of reflective things. The same is true in coaching. And I think that if a lot of coaches who are screaming spent more time asking players why they weren't successful in something, and then being able to discuss what they did wrong. But again, that requires what?
What?
That the coach knows what the hell went wrong.
Right, because if they're going to bring that up, then
that's why. And
they have the answers. They're just holding them.
Yes. Yeah. So if you are a technically strong coach and you're still going to physical punishment and screaming, it doesn't. That's what I'm saying to you. It wouldn't make sense. Like, by definition,
that's a contradiction.
Yeah, it's impossible. That's what we were saying earlier. Remember, I was saying to you,
because they have the outlet. Inherently, we don't want to be yelling at people.
I can't even imagine if I had something to teach someone how to be better, that I would waste time yelling and punishing. It doesn't even make sense.
Well, maybe that's where the situation is, where some good players can't end up being good coaches because they have tendencies for yelling and stuff, even though they probably could, if they were to break down how they do something, they probably could extract some really good knowledge from it, but their default is to just get upset.
Or if they don't, if it comes naturally to them too, like that was the danger of the Wayne Gretzky becoming a coach, was that everything was so natural for Wayne Gretzky, and he did lose it with players. Magic Johnson too. Michael Jordan probably would have a hard time coaching. That's why Michael Jordan was a tough teammate, right? Because he couldn't understand why players didn't have his work ethic and drive, and why can't you do this? His patience was thin. Whereas like for players who worked hard at it, like I think that was one of my strengths as a coach, is that I was a shorter outside hitter, so I had to really work at things, you know what I mean? And I think that I had to be positionally better, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I couldn't just make it, and sets had to be good for me, and or I had to make sure I waited, otherwise I didn't have the advantage of being able to fix things later. And that's why I think coaches today are missing out so much on just automatically passing up on short players, because a lot of short players, they're problem solvers, right? Like they get a tight set, they're going to be super creative in that moment.
Of course they are, because they've been dealing with it their whole life. Yeah. Good point.
And then they just like they adapt, and you feel like you have to be quicker, you have to be faster, you train harder. A lot of outside hitters who are short are very, like I got pretty muscular as a player. I trained hard because I knew I was going up against. So there's a lot of intangible, and then the mental toughness of that player, because so that's what I think.
Playing against everyone taller.
Yeah, and it's tragic, because I've seen those same coaches that never played, and like maybe screamers and all that, they pass up on. Like I've seen the best hitter in the gym as a short player, and they just make him a libero, or don't even put them on the team. And I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you not put the best hitter on the team, like in the practice, in the gym, on the team? It's crazy, eh?
Yeah.
But just because they're height. So even though they're a side-out machine and everything you're seeing against those tall players, but they just pick tall. It's weird. I just had a conversation today with a person I know who's a shorter player, and she said that one of her old coaches was talking to her. And she's a libero, and the coach told her that, I just took these 3 players because they were taller than these other players. And she was like, she's going to answer him back and say, like, so would I not make your team today? Like, I was like your star player. But she didn't answer. She was just like, whatever. Yeah. So weird, eh?
Well, it's funny you mentioned the set, because that also leads into that, like, take taller players, and that way if your setter isn't as strong, then you can have taller players like mess their shoulders up by trying to fix stuff, and they're still not going to be hitting an effective ball or anything. So it's just an excuse on an excuse.
You know what I mean? And so mobility. Like I'm still a fan of, like, take the best players, and I like the old system of tall middles. I can't
see anyone disagreeing with that.
Your outside hitters should be mobile and aggressive. And if they're taller, great. But if they're not, like if there's someone better than them who's like 3 inches shorter, take them. Yeah. Right? Why wouldn't you? I don't understand it. It's so weird. But yeah, so I mean, I go back to that point about being the out of control coach. I think that in any circumstance in life, whenever we're screaming, I think anyway, and I think you're the same way. If you ever lose it, you instantly regret it.
I instantly regret it.
And you feel like you were out of control. It's a symptom of being out of control.
You remember the last time.
And shouldn't a coach like be concerned? Like I said this in a post recently, like seemed to get a lot of likes. The coach expects the player to exhibit, control in the clutch in stressful moments, right? That's what we all want as coaches. We want our players to be composed and calm and perform. Shouldn't we as coaches be modeling that calmness, coolness,
of course,
in the clutch? Like, do you want your players to be frantic, or do you want them to be calm and cool in the clutch? That's what I think of now. Like if I'm coaching, or if I'm in any situation, even business owner. Yeah. I think I'm modeling a certain behavior when our staff is getting worried about competitors, or I always tell them, like, we don't have to worry about anything. Just worry about us, rather than like if I run around frantically, imitating our imitators. You know what I mean? Like, there's something about being a leader, right? That is just very attractive to people, magnetic, And I think that if you as a coach can think about that, think about what message you're sending your players when you're losing it on the sideline. Do you want them to lose it? Isn't it funny that that's the case? Yeah. The team with the yappy coach is the team with the yappy captain, or the team that the ref is frequently giving the warning.
The only last thing I had on here is that you're going to get players who start to yell, and then it's just like going to go back. They think, we talked about this before, they think that's competing, right? Yelling and stuff.
Yes.
Like, so sorry. Yeah.
No. Yeah, I was done.
With it. Yeah.
No, that's that you're teaching them the wrong thing about life and performance, and same with parents who scream and hit, right? Like, you're gonna. I mean, I know hitting is a whole topic today. That there's old school parents, but you don't really have to hit a kid. You just have to punish a kid. Yeah. Or make a kid have a consequence. And usually the natural consequence is there. Like, so in volleyball, it's kind of funny because the best parents let kids fail. They're like, so my kid's in university right now, and they're like not studying. And I'm like, all right, don't study. Go ahead. And if you I already got a degree, so if you don't want a degree, don't get a degree. It's fine. Or if you want to drop out, drop out. And they're like, no, I gotta get to work. And like the natural consequence, letting them. It's very interesting because like sometimes I think, am I a sociopath? I don't care about my kids enough. But I know it's because I don't mind having them fail. No, I don't mind having them fail. And I think it's funny that's the mindset that got them both into university. Like I never harped on them about marks. Yeah. I never harped on them about anything. I just say, well, okay, well, if like, even like one of my daughters with training, right? I'm like, okay, then don't train. That's fine, but don't complain about performance or injuries. Yeah. On the other hand, you know the answers. Yeah. So that's sort of, I think coaches need to get into that too. Like you can't force something, you just kind of let people let the volleyball has built-in natural consequences. You know what I mean? Like, okay guys, so if we want to win, if we want to win or not lose a lot or not give up a lot of points, then here's what we need to do. And if we don't, then I don't need to scream because the punishment is the loss or is the embarrassment for you, the lack of joy. Like it's a lot more fun to win than it is to lose.
And all the good parents would kind of understand that they're not going to blame the coach at all, really, because you've done your job.
Again, though, that has to be a knowledgeable coach. Yeah. Something to teach. I think it seems to go back to that a little bit, and
someone who's gone through, again, like hard things, because that's not going to really be that much of a disturbance to them, right?
Perspective. You have perspective, yeah.
It will be to those kids, and then they'll remember it, and then they're going to work hard in practice and then come back. Yeah.
I think it's funny how a lot of it comes back to just education of the coach. Like if the coach puts themselves in a lot of situations, like if you're really passionate about coaching and you want to go somewhere with it, then you should be arming yourself with as much knowledge as possible, watching a lot of stuff, listening to a lot of stuff, going to seminars, but that's a rare coach. And they're kind of already like we get a lot of people messaging us, thanking us for this show though. And I'm happy that they're listening and I'm very grateful, but I also think that, okay, well, you already got it. You know what I mean? We're preaching to the choir sometimes. I mean, it is cool because sometimes they are younger coaches who are messaging us, which is cool, or open-minded. It's like we have had people say that you've helped change the way I coach. That's cool. Which is cool, right? And you hope that, there's a certain segment like we talked about earlier in this episode that aren't going to even listen ever. Right? Hate us already.
Yeah, but I just want to be nice to them.
Well, it is better to
honesty,
to reach them.
Honesty is nice, right? Yeah. Honesty is the best thing that one can be given. So,
what do you think from this episode will reach the coach that is the screamer who hates what we're saying right now? Is there any way to reach them at all, or do we have to worry?
Well, most of the time when we bring up these things, I don't know how to bridge it from the fault that we're identifying to, because it's so strange. There's so many contradictions, two things that shouldn't exist at the same time, right? Like the coach who's yelling, they want the player that's clutch, that's in control, and that's calm, yet they're modeling the behavior that's the complete opposite to that. So it's the likelihood of any of their athletes becoming that clutch player is just, it's not going to happen. So, you know what I mean? There's always these direct contradictions. So, but I think it really is just in them and their how they experience life and how they go through it. Because I mean, not that you were a yelling coach, but you did it one time, but there was a really big learning moment for you, right? So I think for everyone, they're always going to have these little moments in life. It may not even be when they're coaching. It could be when they're with their family or they're by themselves or something. And then something just happens. It's traumatic in some way or it's emotional, and it just makes them take a little shift. And then that can start just like a little bit of the whole snowball analogy, right? And get things rolling. Yeah. Because I don't know. It would be really cool if episodes like this were that little kind of nudge.
Yeah, I doubt it, but
so the main thing that I think if they can take away from it is just don't worry about because it really is insignificant. If you think we're calling you out on your mistakes now and that irritates you, that probably means in some way you're kind of owning up to them. But the good thing about that is that it's pretty insignificant because you just move on with your life and move forward. Yep. And then people already don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, perspective on things. I think that if I were to say if the goal of the coach is to have, if they're feeling insecure by the performance of the team, then I I think that you're just going to be more like you're going to center yourself out more. You're going to make the team perform worse.
I love how the opposite happens, hey?
Yeah. Like it's just like
you will center yourself out more. Absolutely.
You're going to center yourself out more. You're going to look a certain way. If you're worried about, because let's face it, like it's like a reaction to what's happening and maybe the perception of people that makes you act like this, or maybe you just have things in your life that you're not really happy with and it comes out in this way. It's funny. It goes back to that whole work on yourself thing. Eh?
Yeah.
You know, like if you, like, it would be fascinating if a coach, like, I'm sure there might be people listening who have a temper on the sidelines who wish that they didn't, you know what I mean? Like it's uncontrollable temper. But I bet you any money if those people started doing like some exercise or some, you know, sort of meditation, anything that would really just sort of focus on the inner you, because that outward expression is really a manifestation or representation of what's going on inside you, right? Either you're a happy person, content, or you are a miserable person who's not unhappy with yourself, not liking yourself, and that's going to come out, right? Confidence really manifests itself in our outward demeanor. You know what I mean? Like there's a calmness that, not necessarily confidence, but I guess like inner calm really will. Inner calmness has to do with like liking yourself, right? Liking yourself, maybe that's the word. Like, because we all have insecurities, but
I see what you mean.
You know what I mean? So you got to work on liking yourself, you know, doing things that make you like yourself more.
Because how can you go like say 50 years and still just be so? I mean, I know it's happened. I mean, just unfortunate circumstances to whatever.
Yeah, and life circumstance. I mean, you know, you can have a crappy lot in life, right?
It's hard to imagine someone going 50 years without having done hard things. I believe everyone probably has achieved something. So it may also just be the inability to actually go back and reflect on that. Or
I think everybody has their challenges in life.
Yeah.
But some people either think that they deserve bad things, they don't deserve good things. That's
the thing we've been talking about lately, eh?
Yeah. Or they don't
right, and that'll totally blind you to the good you have done.
Or they don't recognize the accomplishments they've made, right? They don't recognize the good things they have already, or what they accomplished. That's a big one I see in young people. It's like they don't know what they've accomplished, and then so therefore they don't get the self-esteem boost of other people who take inventory once in a while and say, "Oh wow, you know that thing happened, and I overcame that, and I did that, and I'm here now." That's pretty whoa, you know. It's not bragging either. It's just like recognizing accomplishments, because everybody has done hard things. Like even, you know, like it's funny because people with really crappy lives, like we talked about, come through it and they might turn into crappy adults because they haven't really recognized the hard things they've come through, you know, or they've been through something traumatic and awful and then they still think that that's who they are. That happens too. You know, you label yourself as something. Yep. And that's where all these, like, you know, modern things come from. Like, you're not your past. You're not what happened to you. But there sure is like a therapy in doing hard things and giving yourself credit for doing the hard things. That's, like you said, the reflection, right? Like, so all these people do ice baths. We talk about that, cold showers, and work out and train. Sometimes they don't even give themselves credit for it. It becomes part of their routine. And then they don't even, like, you know,
because if they don't believe they are deserving of whatever happiness in some way, they'll
or they just think that it's no big deal. What they do is, like, because they're not. See, this is where the anxiety comes in too, because like if you're someone who like is like, if you are worried about yourself in a negative way, you don't realize that what you're doing is rare compared to other people. Like, you know, you don't want to compare yourself to others, but there comes times where you should say, you know, this is pretty good of me that I do this stuff, or I put myself through this, when most people in reference to, not like in praise of yourself rather than.
That's tough. We
tend to compare in the negative, like I'm not as good as this person, that person, but we rarely do the reverse of saying, oh, but I do this and other people don't. Yeah. You know what I mean? I do this every day. And most people don't. So it's kind of an interesting how we focus on the negative. Yeah. But I think for coaches, like
whatever's lacking. Yeah.
So I think if a coach can get in touch with some of the things that they do that are good things, that might help some of the the inner baggage from spilling out as often as it does, you know. And I was young, like I remember, like I was 24, but I had played high level, and so that's why I was like, I didn't like the feeling, because I'm like, these guys aren't, you know, they're not me, and I'm not, I'm projecting my own insecurities now, like as a player. I would be frustrated with teammates or myself for doing that, but they're not there yet. There's like 15, 16-year-old kids or whatever, right? So I think that's what bothered me about it. I was like, what am I expecting them to be like me? That's another big one. Parents and coaches, they expect these children to have their work ethic, their desire, they're projecting. I find that funny too. Like, or even their wisdom. Right? Like, what were you thinking? What are you, stupid?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, they are a little stupid. They're 14. Like,
and also everything looks so much simpler on the side of the court than when you're on it.
Yes. Oh,
it's just always the way it is.
Yeah. Always easier on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right, man. Well, do you think we're good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're had a bunch of random, like, good coaching thoughts, but it doesn't.
No. You got to put them in then.
Oh, well.
Random good coaching thoughts.
Well, I don't know. No.
And now it's time for random good coaching thoughts with Eric.
It's not. I don't know if I should say it's good coaching thoughts, but like I'm getting to the point now when I'm coaching, it's like I don't want them. It's almost like when people are so like thankful to me and stuff. Like I do like that, but I want them to like see the work that they've done. It's almost like if they put too much onto me as the coach, like thank you. At the same, I just want to be like, no, like, don't you realize that it was you? I'm just here to like point fingers, basically.
Yep.
Tell you to do this. So, in a way, I'm almost like changing my coaching so that I can like almost like do the thing and then step away.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's huge.
And then they get the aha moment. And the main thing I wanted to say is that actually just feels like the natural progression, because I've been coaching for a while, and for whatever reason, I think I would like, well, I have a thing with guilt or whatever. I would feel guilty for taking all the
praise.
Credit. Praise from it, right? And it doesn't feel right, and it isn't right, because they are doing a lot of the work.
That's what I say all the time to people when people thank me for stuff like it in coaching or in life or something. I always say, well, you did it.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what I think, and that's sort of connected with this, right? Because the coach that's screaming,
it's the complete opposite.
It's putting the attention on themselves, and it's about them versus it's all the players. That's another thing that great coaches will always say all the time. Well, it's not me. It's the players did it, you know?
Yeah, I can see that now.
Yeah, and you hear high-level coaches saying that all the time, that I didn't do it, it was the players, you know? I just sort of pointed them in the right direction, pointed out things. And it's true, because you know this, like, you can give, and I've seen this in my life, like, you can give people advice, but they have to execute.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, it's execution is everything. Like, who cares if you have, all right, here's the ingredients to a cake, and then, you know, but if someone messes it up and can't do it, then the cake's going to suck. So that's why you're seeing that the player literally did it.
Yeah.
It's taking the knowledge that you give them. Yeah, you give them the advice, and then they do it. That's the skill, right? Because we can all read the same book, you know, the life skills book or something, but there's something about the people who take that book and actually do something with it versus people who just take the advice and do nothing with it.
Makes me wonder, like, teaching this must be I don't know, how do I describe it? Like a normal thing in the human species. Like it probably is a thing that you know what I mean? It's like a normal social behavior in a way. Mm-hmm. How could it not be?
Teaching?
Yeah, teaching.
Yeah.
The passing down of knowledge, of wisdom, of whatever, of the art of like how to hunt. Yeah, totally.
It's fascinating to me.
Right?
I always used to think that, like, when I was a kid and I was
There's no way we could not develop further or become more civilized without it.
It's a weird stage of they call it, like, you know, in philosophy I learned about the stages of faith. And so, like, literally there's the knowledge, learning, all these different levels you go through, and the final one is universalizing. And it's where you take the wisdom that you've learned, and there's this weird thing, like you talk about Martin Luther King Jr., Jesus, all those, you know, the sort of idea of people who spread their message. And it's fascinating because on one hand, you could say it's like, I remember watching like Tony Robbins infomercials when I was a kid. Like, that's how I first heard of him.
Yeah.
And I was like, so why do you feel the need to tell everybody this? This is just a money-making thing, right? But there's also something else there that I learned as I got older too, and as I got wiser, where like, you know, when I started doing things in volleyball or business or life, there's this weird instinct, and it's not like, it's not even to get, it's not even an ego boost. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I used to think it was like people getting an ego boost. No, there's something else. It's like this weird desire, like you said, to pass on wisdom.
Yeah.
You know what it is? You know what it is? And I think we've had stuff like this, you and me, conversations where I'm talking about business and entrepreneurial stuff. Once you see something in the world that people aren't seeing, you want to tell everybody, hey, listen, there's a better way.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not like I mean, I guess you might want to sell it in a book.
And that can be used for wrong as well, right?
Yeah.
Hence nutrition.
Yes.
And whatever,
and
fitness.
Like scams. Yeah. Like you're sensing people's unhappiness.
Yeah.
So you could make it clickbaity garbage where, like, you know, like VOLLEYBALLOGY. Catchy titles. No, just kidding. No, but you could capitalize on it in a really bad way. But there's also something like, even, well, I guess that's what we're doing here, right? Like, I saw something in club volleyball world,
right?
And it's not that I'm, you know, trying to give myself an ego boost. I'm just like
59 episodes in.
Yeah,
we're almost there at the boost. Almost there.
No, but it's just a matter of like, you want to scream from the rooftops a little bit when you see Hugh McCutcheon's doing it. And yes, he's selling a book, but that's not his driving factor.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? It's funny how, like, when people, if their driving factor is capitalism or money, it doesn't generally work. Most successful ventures come from a place of truth and like authenticity, right? It's so funny because now everybody markets being authentic.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't.
That's
like dichotomy and the contradiction.
Yeah.
But no, it's you're right. Like, that's where the coaching, like, you hope that the coach is in that realm of like, I know something, I've learned something, I'd like to pass it on to you. And even if they're not a volleyball person, you can teach them about life as a responsible adult. That's why I think, like, it's funny because, like, you know, the coach is like, one of my posts that I was sort of answering, I was like, the person who's screaming and out of control on the sideline doesn't know about success in sports or anything in life.
Yeah.
Because nobody's a success screaming their heads off. Like, the Steve Jobs myth is not really true. Like, Steve Jobs was hard on people and demanding, but that's because he knew his stuff, right? And he also died early because probably his blood pressure and all that stuff. But he also lamented and regretted that near the end of his life. Like, people forget that part of the story, that Steve Jobs in his 50s was like, no, that was stupid, young, dumb Steve Jobs.
Really?
That everybody tries to replicate, and they're angry, screaming, intense. Again, they're copying the outside surface. They didn't see the inner stuff behind that, right? So,
and dying young from cancer. Like, how is that not a lesson?
Yeah, stressful life. I mean, we don't know if that's
we just
the root cause, but it is a symptom of a toxic.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or it
what was I going to say?
Sorry, I was talking about the the coach becomes like a wisdom.
Yeah, I remember a lot of me hopes that a lot of these coaches are just on, it's just one little thing. Like, they're just, something could flip and they could go from that, like the yelling coach, to like all of a sudden, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost that little moment of enlightenment. Like, because once you turn a rock over and there's like significant truth underneath it, you can't put it back.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you're changed forever. It just, obviously, depending on how profound it is. Unfortunately, it usually comes from intense pain or kind of trauma or something. And like,
right. You have to reach bottom.
Yeah, which sucks.
Yeah.
And of course, there are other ways. I think.
Well,
it's not the only way.
It's funny that it sucks, but it's like, in some ways, it doesn't suck. Like, that's what we're learning even in our lives. Like, you know, sometimes you hit those.
I'm just imagining like a blowout of like a coach like having like a meltdown and then there's an intervention.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. It's
or
still
like a legal thing or something, like, you know.
Yeah.
Like you hit a player or something.
Yeah.
Like,
that'll humble someone. Like when they lose a parent or
yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Legal things, whatever. Like, that'll really gain it. There's a few catalysts. Like, perspective is the one. Doing other hard things, other successes. The
genuine life trauma, tragedy.
Flipping a belief over and actually thinking you are like a loving, compassionate person and you have something to give, you know, you're not just someone to tell people what to do.
Right.
I guess there's different little things to kind of get to the same point here.
Yeah, I think like I like what you said there. Like maybe changing your shifting your mindset of a coach as an enforcer to a teacher, to someone who's a caring adult who makes players feel warmth and pleasure and love, and like coming at like just shifting your mindset from like, why does this relationship have to be abrasive? Why can't this be a caring relationship where I'm like nurturing them, raising them?
Right. And then for that to happen, their need would have to change, right? Because they're just serving their own need by coaching with an authoritative way.
Right, because the power trippy thing versus...
But then how does the need change? The need changes.
It's funny because you could actually... So like maybe coming at this from a selfish point of view. So like if you're a coach who wants to be admired and feel significant and be important, right, which is what we're talking about, there is another path to feeling that way. And it is through the love of and caring. Yeah. And that calming, like one thing I like, so just using my example as a business owner, like I could be a boss who's an ass to people, right? And they'll hate me.
Yeah, sometimes.
Well, they'll hate me, right? Or I can be someone who cares about people's lives, shows an interest, guides rather than yells, and doesn't get angry with people.
I would so not sleep well, or you wouldn't sleep well if you were the one who was like just an asshole.
Maybe not, maybe, but I'm just sort of saying, like, so let's suppose I'm someone who wants to be a revered boss, so I could be the hard ass, but I might have fear of my employees, but I won't have their respect or love, or they would, if I got hit by a bus, they would be like, yeah. But if you want that respect and admiration, you can approach it from the caring, right, point of view, and it gets so much more out of the people. Yeah. And it gets my sense of like, or legacy, whatever, people like you more.
I just don't.
It's vinegar versus honey. You've heard that before, honey approach versus vinegar approach. And so many coaches, I think, walk into this thinking, I'm going to get respect through, because even if you're a non-knowledgeable coach, people still might like you if you bring that mindset of like acceptance and like, I don't know. And you might say, listen, guys, some of you might know more about volleyball than me, but I know more about life than you. Yeah. Right. That you can still teach athletes a lot just by your.
If you said that, they would be like,
yeah, exactly. No, I know.
What did you do between 2005, 2010?
Hey guys, look, I've been coaching for 20 years and I don't look up anything. I don't watch anything. I don't know anything. But it's funny. But isn't it funny though? Because the coaches that stick around coaching that long, I do marvel. Like the screaming coach, they often don't watch any. Remember, we've seen this. Yeah. How do you not know where a player stands on serve receive? How do you not know after watching?
How do you not know after reffing for 30
Reffing, years? Yeah. How do you know that the libero, the libero stays in 5 now?
I don't know.
Like, how do you not? Like that's what I mean. But you know what it is? It's because they're not in the, like, they're not opening themselves up. They're starting with that know-it-all versus the I know nothing.
It's right there, but they can't even see it. It's just...
The I know nothing is a wonderful thing for everybody to say, right? Like even, we're sort of modeling that on the show. Like we rethink our theories on the air as we discuss things. I think that's what people like about it, is that we're talking, we rethink, we challenge what we said. Like off the start, you said
otherwise we'd have nothing to say.
Well, but it's also showing a sign of like we're open to, like at the beginning you started this episode by saying that high level coaches don't yell, and then later on we were like, oh, but then there are those coaches that scream at the highest levels,
NFL and stuff,
NFL and different sports, but and are they replicating something else? Is it for some other reason the audience involved? So that's a good thing to do. Whereas if we just came on with a fixed theory and it didn't evolve over the course of the discussion, then we wouldn't be modeling what we're talking about here with a coach.
But what is more perplexing
sounds like a dirty joke coming up.
No, you just mentioned it. It's we know that through fear and all that stuff it just doesn't work. And then you can rule through fear, be authoritative, blah blah blah. But so like every Hollywood movie made in the last 30 years uses this exact theme. So even if you're a coach who doesn't really watch volleyball, you've probably watched one of these movies and the theme was revealed to you.
Right.
And it still didn't click. Sorry, that's a bad joke.
It's not a joke, though. It's not a joke.
Because
there's more places like...
It's the same theme over and over. With variation, but it's just like, the the ruling tyrant, like, oh, okay, and then their hero's gonna overcome that, and then blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's Luke Skywalker versus
it's
Darth Vader.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Harry Potter, Voldemort.
It's literally everywhere.
Zuby versus Eric.
Is that dark versus light? No, golden.
What?
What? Huh?
Eric.
I mean,
I thought you said to me you were going to stop being a racist. Hey, are we going to get through an episode without mentioning Cam? Oh, crap.
oh yeah, darn.
Cam the man.
Ooh.
Cam, if you're listening, we want another comment. He's listening. What are we talking about? He's always listening. He's like the Lord. Anyway.
No personal information this time.
No personal information.
Yeah,
about
there was
Cam.
too much last time.
Because his little neighborhood of and his address at. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're golden. I think that was another good episode.
Ooh, you're golden.
Holy smokes, we went an hour and 24 minutes.
Whoa, that's way too long.
Too long.
We gotta cut it back.
Turn it off. Listen to it in segments.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, folks.
Like
Well,
the
that's
first half was like the podcast, and the second half was philosophy.
It's always philosophy.
Yeah, true.
That's why it's called volleyballosophy.
Ah, yes.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time, and I think we'll be in the 60s next episode.
Oh, I think so.
Right?
No
That'll be
more
episode 60. No more 50s.
59 plus 1.
59. See you, everybody.
Exabolilism.
Thanks, Bo.
Extra.
What's the big idea?